Assalamualaikum dear students. Today we are going to do the section 10.2, that is the second section of the chapter 10, which is about infinite series. We have already learned the concept of sequences and infinite sequences in previous section, and today we are going to define series and infinite series. So this video covers the topics including infinite series, geometric series, the nth term test for divergence, combining series, adding relating terms, reindexing. So first of all, let's define infinite series. Given a sequence of numbers, we have a sequence of numbers an, and the expression of the form a1 plus a2 plus a3 so on, that is we are adding the terms of the sequence. So this expression gives us the sum of infinite terms of the sequence is called, this expression is called infinite series. So the number an is the nth term of this series, and the sequence an defined by, rather sequence sn, sn defined by s1 is equal to a1, that is the first term only. S2 is the sum of two terms, a1 plus a2, and so on. If we have Sn is equal to sum of first n terms of the series, that is sigma ak, k is equal to 1 to n. Now this is the sigma notation for this sum. This sequence of sums is called the sequence of partial sums of the series. So the number Sn being nth partial sum. So Sn is called the nth partial sum, and the whole sequence S1, S2, Sn is called the sequence of partial sums. So this sequence of partial sums is very important in the concept of convergence and divergence of the infinite series. So if the sequence of partial sum converges to a limit L, and we know and we have discussed the convergence of the sequence in the section 10.1. So you are familiar with the concept. So sequence of partial sum converges to a limit L, then we say that the series converges and its sum is L. Okay. So what does this mean? If the series, the sequence of partial sum converges to L, that is Sn converges to L, this means we have AK is L. So this series converges and the sum is equal to L. In this case, we can also write it in this form. So if the sequence of partial sum of the series does not converge, then we say the series is divergent. Now, in order to visualize this series, we can represent each term in the infinite series by the area of the rectangle, like this, shown in both the figures. If all the terms an in the series are positive, then the series converges if the total area is finite. Okay, the series converges if total area is finite and diverges otherwise. So in this case, you can see this is the sequence an, and its terms are represented by the rectangles. A1 is represented by this rectangle, A2 is this rectangle, because you can see A1 is equal to 2. So the height of the rectangle in the first interval is 2. So A2 is 2 over 4, that is 1 over 2. So height of the rectangle is half, 1 over 2, right? And so on. You can draw the rectangles for every term. And this series is convergent because this sum is going to be the finite one. And in this case, we have the first rectangle, that is when n is 1, first rectangle has height 2, and when n is 2, 1 plus 1 over 2. So we have this rectangle, that is 1 plus 1 over 2. So this height, and so on, we can draw all the rectangles, but this diverges because the total area is unbounded, and it can be infinite even if the area of the rectangle is decreasing, right? Okay, next sigma notation we have already discussed. There is different representations of this notation. We can write a series like this when the limits are confirmed from 1 to infinity. So this is the short form to write a series. Geometric series, we are already familiar with the geometric sequence, and terms of geometric sequence are A, AR, AR square, and so on. So nth term of this sequence is AR n minus 1. Okay. So by adding all these, we have the geometric infinite number of terms. By adding all the infinite number of terms of geometric sequence, we have the geometric series like this. And if we start from 1, then the nth term is a r to the power n minus 1. And if we start from 0, then nth term is a r n. And in both cases, we obtain the same series. You can verify it. So this actually tells us we can change the starting point in order to get the same series. So we can have different starting points for the same series. So we'll discuss it in detail in later slides while discussing the indexing. So the ratio r can be positive in the series and can also be negative. So it can be positive. This is an example with the positive ratio. R is equal to 1 by 2 here, and A is 1, and we have this geometric series. And it can also be negative. In this case, the common ratio is minus 1 over 3 negative, and A is 1. So this is the geometric series with the R negative. So if R is equal to 1, that is this ratio is equal to 1, then the nth partial sum of the geometric series becomes n times A. Because R is 1, then after plugging all these values uh, of R in this series, we have A plus A plus A, because this is 1. This is not going to make any difference in any term. So Sn, that is sum of first n terms, is equal to n times A. So, and the series diverges because limit of Sn n approaches to infinity is positive infinity or negative infinity depending upon the sign of A. If R is minus 1, the series diverges because the nth partial sum alternate between A and 0 and never approach a single limit. Because when R is minus 1, we have first term A multiplied by minus A, 1 is this and A and so on. So its partial sum is going to be 0 or A, 0 or A. So it does not approach to a single limit, so the series diverges. And if R is not equal to 1, we can determine that is absolute value of R is not equal to 1, that is R is not equal to 1 and R is not equal to minus 1. So R is other than 1 or minus 1. We can determine the convergence or divergence of the series in the following way. So here is the nth partial sum of the series, A plus AR plus AR square. Now multiply both sides by R. We have RSN is equal to RA, every term is multiplied by R, so we have RSN is equal to this. Now subtracting both the sums, we have Sn minus Rn is equal to A minus ARn, because when while subtracting, this AR and negative AR will be 0. So adding these two, so we are left only with the first term and the last term of this sum. So A minus ARn. So it can, so Sn can be written as, now taking Sn common, so we have this expression, and so we have the value of Sn is equal to A into 1 minus Rn over 1 minus Sn, where R is not equal to 0 and R is not equal to 1 and R is not equal to minus 1. Now, there are two cases. If r is not equal, the absolute value of r is not equal to 1, then either r mod is less than 1 or r mod is greater than 1. So if r mod is less than 1, the geometric series converges to a over 1 minus r. So r mod less than 1 means as n approaches to infinity, Rn approaches to 0. So we have a over 1 minus r. So it was r. Sorry, this was a mistake. So we must have r here. And we can write the sum of the series is equal to a over 1 minus r because the series is convergent and it has a limit. And if r is greater or equal to 1, in case of r is equal to 1, we have already seen that r mod is equal to 1 gives us divergent series. Now if r is greater than 1, the series will also diverge because the formula a over 1 minus r for the sum of geometric series applies only when the summation of index begin with n is equal to 1 in the expression or with n is equal to 0 if we write this. So what we learned from here, if r is equal to 1, r mod is greater or equal to 1, series diverges, geometric series diverges, and if r is less than 1, geometric series converges, right? And this is something written about the index we have already discussed. Now there are few examples. The geometric series with a is equal to 1 over n. This first term is 1 over 9. R is 1 over 3. That is the common ratio 1 over 3. So the first term is 1 over 9. The second term series will be 1 over 9 multiplied by 1 over 3, which is 1 over 27, and so on. And in this sigma notation, we can write this series in this form because when we start from 1, we have the series a r n minus 1. So a here is 1 over 9, r here is 1 over 3. So, so since r is less than 1, we can find the limit or sum of the series as well by using the formula a over 1 minus r. So this gives us the sum of the series is equal to 1 over 6. Now again we have the geometric series where a is equal to 5, that is first term 5, and r is equal to minus 1 over 4. And by using this formula, we can find the limit, so the sum is equal to 4. Now there is an example. You drop a ball from a meters, that is this distance is a meters. We are going to drop the ball above a flat surface. This surface is flat. Each time the ball hits the surface after falling a distance h, it rebounds a distance rh. So if first time it falls distance a, then it will rebound a distance r multiplied by a, that is this much. Okay, where r is positive but less than 1. Find the total distance the ball travels up and down. So initially first term is going to be a, that it travels the distance a to hit the surface. So the next term, first it rebounds a distance r a and then comes down to hit the surface again. So this much distance, that is r a, is covered 2 times. So we are going to have 2ar. Similarly, with the same logic or with the same argument, we have 2ar squared. Distance covered is 2ar because ar is covered, distance covered. Next time it should be ar into r using this formula rh. Okay, next time we'll multiply by this, and this is how it looks like after every bounce. So here we go. This is the series a plus 2ar plus 2ar square plus 2 A R cube, this must be A, there is a typo, and so on, and it can be written as A plus. So we have a pattern here. If we have the first term 2AR, then the next term is the product of first term and R. So next term is again product of previous term and R. So by assuming this a series and by isolating this A, we have A plus sum of this series. Since R is less than 1, so sum of this series is first term divided by 1 minus R. So first term is 2AR divided by 1 minus R, R here is R, which is equal to, now by some manipulations, we have this result. So sum total distance covered is A times 1 plus R over 1 minus R. Now if A is 6 meters, this is the particular example, A is 6 meters, R is 2 by 3, then the distance covered will be 30 meters. Next example, this is also the application of geometric series. So express the repeating decimal as the ratio of two digits. So express the repeating decimal as the ratio of two integers. Now from the definition of decimal numbers, we get a geometric series. 5, it can be written as 5 plus 0.23, or let me write 5 here so it is easy to understand. 0.0023, 0.000023. So this is how we can write this number, and we are adding all these numbers. So the series becomes 5 plus 23 over 100, 23 over 100 square, 23 over 100 cube, and so on. So first we can isolate 5, and this rest of the terms are a geometric series with the first term 1 and the common ratio 1 over 100. So sum of this series, because R is less than 1, so sum of the series is going to be, using the formula, A over 1 minus R, 1 over 1 minus 1 over 100, which is 0.99. So this is equal to 5 plus 23 over 99, and ultimately answer is 518 divided by 99. So this is the ratio of two integers, 518 and 99. So unfortunately, formulas like the one for the sum of convergent geometric series are rare, and we usually have to settle for an estimate of series sum. More about, we will discuss more about this. The next example, however, is another case in which we can find the sum exactly. So here is the case: find the sum of telescopic series with nth term 1 over n into n plus 1. So we can make the partial fractions of this term, and in terms of partial fraction decomposition of this term is given by this result, and by plugging this in we have the series. New representation for the series is this, and then its kth sum, kth partial sum will look like this expression, that is A1, S1, A1, that is 1 over 1, 1 over 2, A2, A3, and AK. Okay, so this is the kth partial sum. Now, what we are going to do, remove the parentheses, we can see that these adjacent terms are same with opposite signs. And 1 over 3, 1 over 3 with opposite signs, and so on. So all these terms are cancelled out, so we are left with the first term and the last term. So sk becomes 1 minus 1 over k plus 1. And now sk approaches to 1, sk approaches to infinity, we can observe that. So if the kth partial sum converges, it means the series is convergent, and this partial sum is equal to, this limit is equal to the sum of the series. So this is how we can find the limit of the series. Alright, next we have another example. This is the series n plus 1 over n, and this diverges because we have every term greater than 1, and adding 1 infinite number of times approaches to infinity, of course. So the series diverges. Now the nth term test for a divergent series. One reason that a series may fail to converge is that its terms do not become small. Okay. Next theorem, which is theorem 7 in your book. If the infinite series converges, so the point to be noted is that we have a convergent series, then an approaches to 0. So we have to show that limit of n approaches to infinity an is 0 if this series is convergent. So since this series is convergent, let S represent the series sum, that is sigma n varies from 1 to infinity, an is S. And the nth partial sum is given by this expression. When n is large, both Sn and S minus 1 are close to S. Since sum is S, so the sum of the series is S, so as n increases, this sum approaches to, Sn approaches to S. So Sn and Sn minus 1 are close to S. So their difference An is close to 0. So if we have Sn like this, and Sn minus 1 will be A1 plus A2 up till An minus 1. So difference of these two sums is An. So An is equal to Sn minus An minus Sn minus 1, which approaches to S minus S as n is large, and it is equal to 0. So this gives us the conclusion An approaches to 0. And this is what we need to prove. Now there is a question. And you have to remember that this theorem does not say that sigma an series converges if an is approaching towards 0. This does not say. Okay? This actually says if the series is convergent, then nth term, that is the sequence an, is convergent, and it converges to 0. So keep it in mind. Converse of this theorem is may or may not be true. So it is possible for a series to diverge when an approaches to 0. So there might be a case. So for this we have an example. Let's see. So we have the series 1, 1 by 2, 1 by 2, 1 by 2. Let's group the clusters of same. And we can see that each of the clusters adds to 1. This 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2 is 1. So 4 times 1 plus 4 is 1. Similarly, n times 1 over 2 to the power n is 1. Okay. So this series diverges because the terms grouped adds to 1. So the partial sum increases without bound because we are going to add 1 infinite times, right? So this series diverges consequently. So here is a result, the nth term test for divergence. Sigma n raised to 1 to infinity an, that is the series, diverges if limit of an fails to exist or different from 0. So previously we saw that this, if this series is divergent, if this series is convergent, then a n approaches to 0. Now there is a divergence test. A n diverges, sigma a n diverges if limit of a n fails to exist, right, or different from 0. So here are few examples of divergent series. Using this test, we can prove that series is divergent. So first series is sigma n raised to 1 to infinity n square diverges because n square approaches to infinity, right? So it is a n approaches to infinity. So limit of a n is infinite. Or next series, n plus 1 over n diverges because this a n approaches to 1. That is, this is different from 0. Similarly, this series diverges because limit does not exist. So this series is divergent because of this condition. And this series is divergent because the limit a n is negative 1 by 2. That is again because of this condition, which is not equal to 0. So combining series, whenever we have two convergent series, so point to be noted here, two convergent series, we can add them term by term, subtract them term by term, or multiply them by constants to make new convergent series. So here are the rules. That is, we have a convergent series sigma n, we have convergent series sigma b n, and its sum is a and its sum is b. And the sum rule, sigma a n plus b n gives us sigma a n plus sigma b n, which is equal to a plus b. So the sum of the series is also convergent because we can find its sum. Similarly, we can prove the difference rule. Similarly, there is a constant rule. So the point to be noted here is that both the series are convergent, then we can use these rules. So as a corollary of this theorem, we have the following result. Every non-zero constant multiple of divergent series diverges. If sigma a n converges and sigma b n diverges, one of the series is convergent, other is divergent, then these series both diverge. That is, sum as different series will diverge. So again, here is a caution. Remember that sigma a n plus b n can converge if both sigma a n and b n diverge. For example, we have this series, both are divergent, but their sum is convergent, and which converges to 0. So if one of the series converges, one of the series diverges, then the sum and difference both diverge. And if both the series are divergent, then their sum can be convergent as well. It may or may not be convergent, or may or may not be divergent. Okay, few examples. Again, find the sums of the following series. Uh, we have this series, n raised to 1 to infinity, 3n minus 1 divided by 6 to the power n minus 1. So first of all, we'll split into two terms, 1 over 2 to the power, because this can be written as 3 to the power n minus 1 over 6 to the power n minus 1 minus 1 over 6 to the power n minus 1, and this can be written as 2 multiplied by 3 to the power n minus 1 and 3 to the power n minus 1 over 3 to the power n minus 1 and is 1. So we are left with 1 over 2 to the power n minus 1. And now we are going to use the difference rule. So these are the difference of two series, and these two series are geometric series with r less than 1, that is mod r less than 1. So we have their sum is equal to a over 1 minus r, and a in both the cases is 1. So we have the sum of the series is 4 over 5. So next, find the sum of the series, and series is given by this, and again you can use the geometric series formula to find the sum. Adding or deleting terms. So we can add a finite number of terms to series or delete finite number of terms without altering series convergence or divergence, right? Only finite number of terms can be added or deleted. Although in case of convergence, this will usually change if sigma a n converges, then sigma n is equal to k to infinity, n varies from k to infinity converges from for any k greater than 1. So if it converges when n varies from 1 to infinity, it will converge when n varies from k to infinity for k greater than 1. So we can add or delete. So the moral of the story, we can add or delete finite number of terms without altering the convergence to divergence of the series. So here is a note. The convergence and divergence of the series is not affected by its first few terms, only the tail of the series, the part that remains when we sum beyond some finite number of initial terms, influences whether it converges or diverges. That is why deletion of or addition of finite number of terms does not affect the convergence and divergence of the series. So reindexing, we have already talked about this concept, reindexing. So we can represent a same series with different starting point and with different index. So here is an example. We have a series sigma an where n varies from 1 to infinity. So what are the terms going to be? A1 plus A2 plus so on. And this can also be written, these terms, some of these terms can also be written in this form as well. Sigma n varies from 1 plus h can be any integer, a n minus h. Okay, now replace n by 1 plus h in order to get the first term. So when n is 1 plus h, we are left with 1 because h minus h is 0. So we are left with the first term, a1. Similarly, second term can be achieved by replacing h plus 2 and so on. So we can change the index and the starting point of the series without altering the order and terms of the series. So this is how we can re-index our series. So we saw this reindex in starting a geometric series with index n is equal to 0 instead of index n is equal to 1. But we can use any other starting index value as well. So we usually give preference to the indexing that leads to simple expressions, right? So in the metric series we had discussed these two cases. In this case, right now we are getting familiar with the indices other than 0 and 1. So here we have a geometric series. So if we start it with n is equal to 1, it will be the this series, and if we start with n is equal to 0, this becomes this series. So if we start with n is equal to 5, we have this series, that is n is equal to if you look at the previous, n is equal to 1 plus h, right? So n is equal to 5, that is 1 plus h here is 5. Okay, so you can verify it as well. When n is 5, we have 1, that is first term is 1. When n is 6, we have 1 over 2. So we are actually getting the same series. Next is 1, 4 and so on. Similarly, you can verify this for this as well. So this is how we can change the index. And that's all for today. See you in next lecture. Take care till then. Bye bye.